Oh, Mike Ricksecker, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right, I got a couple adjustments here, and we'll get you into our screen. And there you are, coming right into our screen. Welcome to the program, Mike.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
Well,
Appreciate being on tonight.
well, I'll tell you what, man. I listened to a couple of your interviews and other programs, and I thought, man, I have got to get this guy on the show. You're so easy to listen to, and your bio is just terrific. We of course, as a show like this, we've had a number of say paranormal investigators on, but it just seems that you've got a different take on things, and certainly from the ghost storian point of view, that's what I really was interested in. I've never heard that term. Well, Mike, why don't we start with that? Describe exactly what is a ghost storian.
Sure. Well, a ghostorian is a term that I've coined. Basically two words put together, ghost historian. But to me, it describes a person who researches and investigates a ghost in the place in which it haunts. The term researcher is kind of commonplace around the paranormal, could mean a couple of different things. I didn't want to step on the toes of historians, since that's somebody that actually has a history degree, and my degree is in something else. And just coming from, I spent many years in the IT department of a library, and actual librarians with a Master of Library Science, are offended when you go and you tell somebody at the or call somebody at the circulation desk a librarian when they're not. So I didn't want to step on the historian's toes, and so I came up with this term that I think works for everybody.
Well, right then. So you sort of non-offensive there, not stepping on anybody's toes. Yet you've got what I guess you would call it a ghost niche, a paranormal niche too. And I mean, actually,
Right.
it's sort of a twofer there: a paranormal investigator and ghost historian. But let's crank it back a little bit, or dial it back a little bit, Mike. What got you interested in the paranormal to begin with?
Well, it's something that's kind of been with me for a long time. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I had a experience with a shadow person in my bedroom, and it was a little bit different than most stories. I mean, it starts off the same, where woke up in the middle of the night, and in the corner of my bedroom there was a dark humanoid figure standing there. But where my story changes a little bit is that it actually came up to me, approached me, crossed my arms across my body, and then it ran off down the hall, and I watched it run off into the linen closet, which was kind of crazy. So I didn't really have the whole sleep paralysis thing, and this thing actually interacted with me. So needless to say, at 8 or 9 years old, I was pretty terrified. I ran to my parents' room. They tried to pawn it off as as a bad dream, but it stuck with me for a while. And when I was about 13 years old, we were moving from Massachusetts to Ohio, and my mother bought me the book Yankee Ghost by Hans Holzer as an interesting and different way to remember the location from where I had come from. And that really, really piqued my interest, the different stories and experiences that Hans Holzer have written about. And so that really fueled me and kind of led me when I was about 16 years old, had my first technical paranormal investigation. Wasn't really too sure what I was doing at the time. I was only 16, but it's kind of snowballed after that, especially once I started writing the ghost books.
So you say 8 or 9 years old when you first saw a shadow person.
Yes.
Okay. Now that aspect of say paranormal or seeing invisible people for children especially, there seems to be that young people under a certain age, they also have like invisible friends. They see things, and then of course as they grow older, at first it's cute to the parents, but then they start kind of talking them out of it. Now, do you think that? And you said you ran into your parents' room. I imagine they told you, of course, there was nobody there. But I think you would beg to differ. It sounds like you would beg to differ. You love your parents, but I beg to differ. I'm scared to
I was
crap.
wide awake. Yeah.
So is it that if we are never? Do you think it's possible? If children are never talked out of it, told to be adults, told to grow up, there's really nobody there. There's no Santa Claus. There's no shadow people. Is it possible that they would continue to see them?
Well, that's an interesting thought, because I do believe that if you tell a person often enough that they're not really seeing something, even if they do, they try to push it out of their mind and almost disbelieve themselves. So maybe in a sense they're not seeing it as much, but then you also have some unfortunate cases where people start to think that they are actually crazy. When they're not, they're really experiencing these things. So it can have some multiple connotations down the line.
All right. Now you are in front of a building. Describe that building and where you're at.
I am at the Haunted Farrar Schoolhouse in Iowa. I'm here for a paranormal convention investigation afterward, where I'm set up here at the Haunted Road Media with my books and everything. And this location here is a schoolhouse in Iowa for 80 years, and since it's been closed and it was bought, the people that own it actually live here. They started experiencing some paranormal activity, and they opened it up to investigators who have discovered quite a few things that are going on here.
Okay, so it was a school, but it's now somebody's residence?
Yeah, I'm not exactly for certain how they have their residence set up. Some part of the building here. But yeah, it was a school for a number of years. We're all set up in the gymnasium area. There's an auditorium. I mean, already this morning when I was, got my first walk through about 9:30 in the morning, the library area, just immediately walking in, you could feel, a different type of energy in there, felt something brush against my arm. And then the back of the auditorium area, kept feeling cold spots. And then at this one point where one of the guys was, showing me part of the front of the auditorium, turned around and then felt, something cold against the back of my neck.
Wow. Well, that's almost an instant reaction. If you just came from, from where you're at in there at that time and had all these things happen, that bodes well for additional interactions, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and we'll see how it reacts tonight. It'll be a bit of a bigger investigation. I was just doing a walkthrough this morning, so we'll see what kind of activity happens tonight.
Okay, Mike. Now, did the owners contact you, or did you contact them?
Well, what happened with this one is there was an event that was already set up. They'd had it planned for months. It's the Farrar Schoolhouse Summer School conference event, and this was really kind of last minute. Just last week, I was asked if I could special guest here, and I said, "Oh yeah, sure,"
now,
and drove on out.
Now, are you going to be leading a tour there tonight, or just setting up an investigation?
There's going to be a full investigation here tonight. There's a number of teams here, for the conference, and some of them are sticking around for the investigation.
Now, I heard you on another program, and you were discussing. It might have been X Zone Radio.
Okay, yeah,
okay.
I've been on that a couple of times.
Okay, and I heard a discussion about religious people, maybe Christians in general or particular. I don't know, but it said you guys came up with the thing. It said, why is it that the people that believe that somebody walked on water, somebody was raised from the dead, somebody was in a third dimension, all these things. Why is it so difficult for them to say that, say, for instance, where you're at, there is paranormal activity, which previously what I just described is all paranormal activity. What was the conclusion on it? What did you guys, what did you feel by that conversation?
Yeah, it's a real interesting discussion, and, it's a heated topic, really, because you're getting into people's faith. And, to me, they go hand in hand, with, I grew up Catholic and, attended a Christian church in my adult life for many years. And, to me, you're talking about spirituality and, why is it that you can believe that this, one person was able to do this? He raised the dead. Why is it that these have to be two completely, separate entities? As a faith like that, you believe in an afterlife, you believe in a spiritual existence, and depending on your denomination, sometimes you believe in a, purgatory or what have you. So you believe in, a spiritual form. So why is it so difficult to conceive that there could be, spirits hanging out here that just haven't moved on to whatever the next plane of existence is?
Well, as a paranormal investigator and ghost historian, do you consider yourself, well, obviously, I would assume you believe that there is a paranormal, or there are things in the paranormal that happen. Do you also consider yourself a spiritual person, or is that so far away from that?
I'm still a spiritual person. I still believe in God. I still believe in Jesus. All of that.
Okay.
That's all a part of me. It was part of my upbringing. I don't see where that they can't coexist together.
Well, I've kind of battled that a little bit myself. If I have many times, and I try to walk the line, because we have religious people to watch the show. We have, I've tried to create a table for everybody, and I noticed you certainly didn't want to decorate anybody's faith as well. Well taken, but I tried to create a big room where everybody can come in and talk respectfully and listen to points of view. I think no matter what our topic is, if we listen, we'll get something. We'll grow a little bit. I think if you want to say the Great Spirit, He sort of created everyone to need everyone, so that nobody's not really needed. In other words, He put Himself in so many areas and things that we have to enlarge our tent to gather what it is that He wants us to see or know, or how we can be better people or help others. I think that's part of our existence.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we don't quite know with any type of certainty what the grand master plan is, and why this was all created, and why we are here. But that wouldn't exclude those planes of existence. And yeah, you're right. I think we're all here to help each other out. And I believe that even as a physical person in this vessel right now, I still have the ability to be able to help those that don't have a physical vessel right now. With what I do as a historian, I like to say that I'm a voice for those spirits as I learn about their history and the history of the location that they're at, and all those different things, because it's kind of been lost to time. So I think that me as a human being right now can also help those that are in spiritual form.
Well, you probably don't know much about me, but I tread a life journey similar to yours. I'm not a full-time paranormal investigator, though I have done paranormal investigations. Two of my sons started something called the Greenfield Paranormal Society. And in fact, at one point we landed at a school in Greenfield, Indiana, that was purported to be haunted, and they said there were screams coming occasionally. With nobody being in the building, there would be screams or something behind the where they have plays, so we went there one time. But additionally, though, I also consider myself a very spiritual person. I am constantly looking. I try to, wherever I am, I'm not just trying to get through to the next point, going from A to B. I want to know what's going on in my peripheral. Maybe where the shadow people exist. What's really happening? Why am I here? Why am I talking to you tonight? Why do I meet people along the way? I try to constantly, and I try to uptick that, to grow that to where I can always be aware that this life existence is so much bigger and contains so many more interesting things that it's a good thing to do that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think that we're all brought into each other's lives for different purposes, different reasons. And, it may just be for a fleeting moment, but, there is some purpose behind all that. And, sometimes it's hard to see, what those different threads are, but, they certainly exist. And I think they exist between, different planes of existence as well, not just, this physical life, but in the afterlife as well.
Yeah, I'd like to tell a story on this show. A lot of people have heard it, and I'll tell it to you because I'm sure you didn't hear it. But one day, one of my sons told me, he came and told me this great, grand statement that it was so deep and so philosophical. I said, man, that is awesome, son. And I was amazed. I said, where'd you hear that? And he goes, Charles Manson. Now, see, do I need to walk that back because of the source, or can I say that no matter what it came from, why can't I say that is true? But naturally, though, people would say, well, if you're a paranormal investigator, then already this and that and the other. Well, you also might have some truth.
Well, yeah, and I think you would say something like that. Okay, here's this great piece of philosophy or what have you. Put it into context. Okay, here's the source as well. You could bring up Hitler. There's a lot of great things that he actually did for Germany. He just got involved in that whole, trying to take over the world thing, and murdering millions of people, which was, very, very horrible. But there were some good things he did early on.
By the way, do you feel like you are surrounded by haunted cicadas?
Yeah, there's quite a few out. Are you hearing that buzz?
No, yeah, but it's fine though, man. That's
Okay.
all natural, brother. Okay, all right, Michael. Let's get to some more things now. So you were at a young age when you had your visitation or interaction with the shadow person, and now did you, just to get back to that, did you feel threatened?
That's something I've been asked a lot lately as I continue to, tell the story of what happened. And I mean, just thinking back on it, I was very scared, very startled, being at such a young age. But, now thinking back on it, it's, this person or being didn't really do anything to threaten me. It crossed my arms across my body. So, it did invade my personal space. But, it didn't actually harm me. Mm-hmm. And I've had, a couple people suggest now that maybe what that was, again, we're talking about something that's, on a different plane of existence, maybe from a different dimension, if you believe that shadow people are interdimensional, mm-hmm. that, maybe it thought for whatever reason that I was deceased and was putting me in some sort of burial pose. Mm-hmm. You don't know. Mm-hmm. But, just thinking back on it, it actually wasn't, dangerous or threatening happened. I was just really, really scared.
Now, in my early days, I was in my parents' house. I was in the basement, and I decided to just take a nap, and something set upon me or pushed down upon me, and there was nothing there. And I tell you, Mike, it was trying to kill me. It was pushing the life out of me, and I don't know how I broke free there, but I don't. I wouldn't say it was a shadow person. It was something, but it wasn't. And from then on, I was scared as hell to go into that basement.
Oh, I bet. No, I've had, something similar happen to me, as an adult in bed, and, waking up one night to something like that. And, what I did, we talked about spirituality and faith, earlier on. And basically, I prayed. And it eventually, went away. But yeah, it was pressing upon me, and I thought something was trying to get inside of me. Is what I thought when that happened.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, now that I recall, I did do some praying there, and that may be what got rid of it. So, and most people describe any sort of paranormal activity directly. I mean, almost instantaneously, it's just right in the tip of their tongue. It's a demon. I don't know that every single one is a demon. Maybe there are. Well, I would say, yeah, there are. I would grant that. But I would also say that this world and worlds and dimensions are much bigger than a human mind can understand or conceive. Why couldn't there be another dimension where beings of some sort inhabit? And in thin places, some people call them thin places, and perhaps where you're at, it might be described as a thin place. That is where it is closer to another dimension, and there's interactivity at that spot, and that describes a lot of paranormal locations. But why couldn't it be from another dimension?
Well, and it could be, and I think the term demon gets thrown around too much these days. I think, it gets thrown around a lot by those people who don't understand what the paranormal is, where they lump anything paranormal is, you're playing around with demons. And, demons are few and far between. And then you have, the television shows that, the next step that they've tried to, go with, their shows are, with demons, because they have to keep up in the ante. And, we've seen for, a couple decades now, television shows where people are walking around, a haunted location, they're gathering evidence. Well, that's kind of, as far as television standards, that's kind of old hat. So we have to do something new. We have to keep up in the ante. Well, demons is the next step. I don't know what we're going to do after demons, because that'll eventually run its course. Mm-hmm. Well, but, the demons are few and far between.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, do you know approximately how many investigations you've done?
Oh, I really have no idea. Hundreds at least.
Wow. Okay. Has any of your investigations, has any of your equipment been drained of power?
Oh, yeah. That's happened a few times where, you put fresh batteries into a camera or an audio recorder, something like that. And then all of a sudden, within minutes, you've lost all power. And there's no real reason to explain as to why that's happened. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I've had some experience myself that along those lines. I like to share them with you just to let you know that this is more or less a safe environment. But I also will try to maybe ask them challenging questions. And by the way, those that are watching they're talking right now about the program and are in the live chat. And they're also sending questions in through our Fast Blast. But let me get over here to this Fast Blast question from Pennsylvania. It says, there is a person out there by the name of Pastor Nate Thompson. He uses a PSB 7-2, and evidently he uses it to preach the gospel to ghosts. The question for this person is there a such thing as post-mortem salvation?
That's a great question. There could be. We don't really know how the afterlife necessarily works. I mean, as paranormal investigators, that's something that we're continuously trying to figure out, and a lot of it's theoretical. But if you think about, okay, this person is, we're all spiritual beings. So we are in some sort of existence as a spirit within our body or outside of our body. Mm-hmm. So, sure, if that is your, line of belief, to have, that kind of faith. And, I believe certainly a, spirit could be, saved or, may make that decision to, take Christ into their life or something like that. Mm-hmm. Sure, they have that ability to make those sorts of decisions.
Well, I try not to be too dogmatic because what I believed 20 years ago, some of it's not necessarily what I believe now. So,
right.
And so I know that we're getting opinions now in people's heads. I guess you could say I'm reading their minds, but they're saying, this is the way it is. It isn't no other way. But I would ask those that have made that decisive proclamation to ask them, have they changed any of their views in the last 20 years? And if you have, you might want to just listen a little bit more and rather than making a declaration of the impossible or it is a specific way. Because I got a feeling, Mike, when you or I or any of the viewers or listeners, by the way, we are simulcasting the program on TuneIn Radio, our TuneIn Radio program. But that when we get to the other side, I don't believe it's going to be like any of us think.
No, it's not. It's not. We have these grand assumptions, ideas, what have you. A lot of different religious texts have described an afterlife. Some of it, a lot of it very symbolic in nature. So what we really have are interpretations and really guesses as far as what the other side is going to be like. And so, I think it's going to be very, very different from, what we believe it is now. And, I think, honestly, I think some of that information is intentionally suppressed from us. And when we pass on, we'll gain that knowledge. We're like, oh, yeah, well, that's why we didn't know that stuff.
Mm-hmm. By the way, who's the folks walking around the school over there?
Other people that are involved with the event, either guests or there are other investigators, teams, what have you, vendors.
Do they know you're doing a live broadcast right now?
Probably not.
Okay, now how do you have your camera on a selfie stick or how's that? Is it attached?
No, I'm actually holding it in my hand and switching back and forth.
Wow. Okay, well you're doing pretty steady there, my friend. Hopefully you'll be able to do the program. If you could set that down. I don't know. All right, so but here's the thing though. Those that have passed on, let's just say, I don't really how else to describe it. Those that the investigations you do, wouldn't they be more, say, closer to knowing what's on the other side than on the terrestrial side?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that having passed on, they would certainly know quite a bit more about what it's like to
what it's like to be form. Dead. Would they know what it's like to be dead?
Right, the
dead don't stay dead around there, Mike. It don't look like.
Right, but what's kind of interesting is that I've been on those types of investigations where somebody's trying to help somebody to pass on or go to the light, mm-hmm. If you believe in that, and some of the times reactions that you'll get are that they're afraid to do so. So they don't exactly know everything that's going on that side just yet. Apparently immediately after passing on, after dying.
Yeah.
So I think depending on where you decide to go on that plane, you'll come into that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you're getting a little bit more knowledge about the possibility of what's on the other side?
Well, yeah, just being involved with this field and trying different things and looking at different philosophies and asking the spirits those type of questions. I think we're getting a little bit more knowledge. I don't think we'll ever know everything there is to know about that other side, but I think we're starting to learn a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and describe how you came to write your first book. I know you're a prolific writer, and you've wrote numbers of them. What's the name of your first book, and how did you come to write it?
Yeah, my first book is actually a mystery novel. It's titled Deadly Airs, and mystery is kind of a first love of mine. I've been writing ever since I was in the second grade. And I was trying back then to mimic the Encyclopedia Brown books. I loved those books as a child. Mm-hmm. And, I wrote some ghost stories as well. It was primarily mystery. And I did like a little historic fiction as well. Because I lived in Massachusetts, so, the Revolutionary War was a big topic up there when I was going through school. So my first book is a mystery novel, Deadly Airs, and I actually created the character Chase Michael DeBarlow in a high school computer business applications class. We had to do a Word document. Well, actually, it wasn't Word back then, but it was we had to write up a document, and that's what I did, just on the whim. And I've kind of carried the character up ever since.
In our live chat, Tony in Louisiana just wrote in, said that in 1998 he went to the other side and didn't want to come back. He said, "It was so beautiful, you feel love. I was told that it was not my time and fell back into my body." Now, I've heard that type of story. Thank you, Tony, for that, by the way. Anybody else would like to share those little short stories, that'd be great. We'll bring that up with Mike Ricksacker here on the program. So, Mike, the idea of going to the other side and being told that your life's mission has not occurred yet and needs to be done. Have you come across any of that in your travels and investigations?
Well, yeah, I've talked to a number of people who have had that experience and have come back. And you get a lot of similar experiences where maybe they see a light or a serene scene, something very peaceful, something that feels really, really good. And for one reason or another, they're told to come back. Sometimes they see family members, and those family members are happy to see them to say, you need to go back. So, but of course, they never really tell you why.
Why not?
Still the mystery of life, I guess.
Well, now let's just talk about the mystery of life. Okay, so if a person has a mission, do you think it is that your drive is your inner drive? I mean, something's driving you to do what you do. Is that you think that'd be considered your mission because you have a drive, an interest, a desire to do it?
Well, I would like to think so, because otherwise I'd be wasting all my time doing what I love to do. So I'd like to think that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. Now, and some people are still trying to figure out what that is for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you feel that your mission, your book writing, your lectures, your tours, your investigations, have you considered how that would affect somebody? Is it something that you feel helps people in any way? And if so, what way would that be?
Yeah, I've had a number of people tell me that, just like on Facebook, sending me messages and just telling me, thank you for sharing your experiences, sharing what you've discovered. It's helped me feel like I'm not crazy. That's kind of the, the big thing is that, a lot of these people through their experiences in life and what they've had happen to them, a lot of times they think that maybe they're going crazy, or somebody has told them that, well, you're hearing voices, you're seeing something, you should be put in a straitjacket. I mean, that's what they did, 50 years ago. You'd be sent away. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really helped to give people a peace of mind, and in another sense, it's helped to educate people. I believe about either those particular spirits, about a piece of history. One of the things that I like to do is really, dig into, some obscure pieces of history and people who, used to live at some of these locations that, their stories have been lost to time. And so I like to bring out those stories and kind of, like I said before, be a voice for those spirits.
I'll tell you what, again, that's a serendipity there, because I mean, I want to know when I go to grave sites and I try to do more than say, oh, there's walk through them. I look at a name and I think, what did this person do? What did they accomplish? How did they die? I want to know more about their life, given, the respect of being human and their human experience. And, but I notice here's Chuck in Florida, in our live chat says his drive is to do nothing. So if he had a near death experience, then he would go to the other side and they would say to Chuck, you've not done enough nothing. You need to go back and complete your nothingness.
I would say, how do I say that tactfully? Is it feels nice to do nothing, but I can't say, I can't imagine that your mission in life is to do nothing. It just, it feels good to do nothing sometimes, certainly.
Okay, Chuck, you've been called on that now so, by the guest. All right, for those of you just joining the broadcast, we have on our Newsmaker line tonight, and you're in Iowa?
Yeah, I'm in Iowa right now. Farrar Schoolhouse is behind me.
And he's at the Farrar Schoolhouse doing an investigation this evening. Mike Ricksecker, ghost historian and paranormal investigator. If you have a question for Mike, you can put it in the fast blast link, or you can put it in the live chat as well, and our moderator will send that over to me, and we'll talk to Mike about, especially your personal stories for those of you watching the program. So, Mike, so you wrote your first book was a novel of some, maybe right, with a fictitious character. But then when did you delve into the paranormal, the actual events? Yeah,
well, like I said, my first investigation was when I was about 16 years old. And, so I kind of more of a hobbyist level for a number of years where, did some, quasi investigations, did a lot of research, was kind of, involved in those sorts of ways. And, really, it's one of those things that, doesn't come around too often in life. And so I'm very, thankful. But after I'd written my first novel, and I'd written a couple of paranormal short stories, and my editor for Schiffer Publishing, 3 of my books through Schiffer Publishing, and my other books are through my own publishing company, Hunter Road Media. She approached me and said, look, I like your fiction work. I've seen that. You may or may not be interested, but we're looking to expand our paranormal line of books. You're in Maryland. Would you be interested? And so, yeah, I jumped right on it. So, one of those things in life where it just kind of falls in your lap. And ever since then, I've just, snowballed from there,
Mm-hmm. So now that goes on to the aspect of a life journey does somebody, their journey, is it something that they decide to do, a journey to go on, or is it that something seemingly inconsequential or just random happens to them and directs them to that journey? Which one do you think it is, or a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. I think something, throughout my life kept directing me in that way. Those experiences that I had as a child, my mother handed me a book, the first investigation that I did, all those were kind of direction. I just didn't see the signs back then really to, dive headlong into it. But you end up having to make that sort of decision. I mean, when that was thrown at me, I was writing mystery novels, started writing my second. I could have said no, I'm going to concentrate, strictly on the mystery writing. But, when that came to me, it was like, yeah, I'm going to make that decision to do this. And I basically found out from then, yeah, that's my life's calling right there.
Mm-hmm. In the live chat, Put Yahweh First says, have you ever worked with Bill Bean? He is in Maryland.
I haven't actually worked with Bill Bean, even though he was right around the area where I was at. Margaret Ehrlich of Inspired Ghost Tracking has worked with him a lot, and I'm great friends with Margaret. And it just seems ironic that, we had that working relationship and never actually worked with Bill.
I see somebody in the live chat said that they lived in a haunted house, and they like that. One of them, I mentioned my life scare there as a young guy in my earlier childhood home. But there was also another event that happened in that house, and when I found out later, because my older brothers, they were evidently messing with a Ouija board, and being the younger brother, I never got to play around. They wouldn't let me in on their things, man. But one night I remember they went screaming out of the house. They were upstairs playing with that Ouija board, and stuff started happening. And so I was thinking, well, whatever they conjured up from that Ouija board is probably still running around in that house. What do you think about Ouija boards yourself? Have you dealt with them, or what do you believe on that?
Well, I mean, I think that comes with knowledge. Ouija boards can be used as a tool. You're trying to communicate and speak with spirits, and we try to do the same things with audio recorders, or you're just standing in a room saying, "Hey, I'd like to communicate with you," and I think it just comes from a lack of knowledge where. It's kids playing around with something. They think they're goofing around, having a good time. They don't really know exactly what it is that they're trying to do, and they accidentally invite something in that they weren't prepared for.
There was a phenomena that happened on the internet here. I talked about it on the show last year. Do you remember what it was with the pencils? There was some activity with pencils, and I don't know. People, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I forget exactly
but it had to
what
do
it's
with
called,
pencils.
but I've also seen some rebuttals on that where it's just a physics trick. Mm-hmm. So I haven't looked too much into that though.
Mm-hmm. Now you have a Facebook account.
Yes.
Okay. Now a lot of people are doing live broadcasts with Facebook. Have you got to that yet?
I just did one this morning on the drive here, just kind of introducing. Hey, I'm gonna be at First Schoolhouse today. I do a Mike's Morning Mug. I do a lot with video. I have my Haunted Road Media YouTube channel, which has like over 200 videos. And one of them, along with Paranormal Rose video and investigations and things like that, I do a video blog of Mike's Morning Mug. So I'm a coffee drinker. And
are you?
There you go. And I'll tie in coffee with paranormal and the things that are going on in my life and stuff like that. But I do a lot of paranormal videos.
Well,
as well.
By the way, Mike, I've been accused of conjuring demons because they say that's an occult symbol.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I'm really not, and I'm still battling people that say that whenever you do yoga, you conjure Kundalini demons. Look. I've been doing yoga for a couple of years, and I've not seen any Kundalini demons running around in there. All I find is some really hard stretches, man, and
right.
I haven't seen them, and they might be in there doing a downward facing dog too with me. I don't know. I don't see them.
Yeah, I think it's just I fear of the unknown a little bit. Somebody puts an idea in your head. Well, all symbols are evil or something like that. Well, symbols have been around since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't.
Okay.
Starbucks symbol being evil, I don't know.
Well, it's some kind of fish thing. I don't even know. But anyway, I'll tell you what, the symbol hasn't talked to me yet. When it does, I'll give you a call, man. We'll do an investigation together on that. All right. So Jade, our moderator, asked this question here. It says, "Why consult the dead on behalf of the living?"
Well, I consult the dead on behalf of the living. I'm
glad you got that
consult
question.
The dead as far as something going on with the living.
Well, I mean, no, I don't know if I can put words in her mouth, but it's perhaps it's consulting or to see if there's a person who's passed on that has something to say to the living. I don't know. Maybe is that it?
Oh, I mean, some people want to be reassured that their loved ones are in a safe place. If mm-hmm. that's the perspective. I mean, I don't really consult the dead, to find out, what's going on with somebody in this life. I mean, what I'm trying to do is, for one, try to find out a little bit more of, what the afterlife is about, what maybe we can expect. I'm also trying to find out, why a, certain person may be hanging out, at this schoolhouse. Is, do they have a message they want to give? Do they need help? What's the idea? I'm also curious as to, from a historical perspective, the type of lifestyle that they led. We lose a lot of information to time, and we have ideas of how people, once lived, but it's not always perfectly known, and we try to, piece things together through, what's been written down over time, but, unless you lived that, you don't really know. So that's why I love investigating. I love interviewing the elderly because they have so many fantastic stories about how life used to be that you just really don't even think about, don't even know, because it wasn't necessarily recorded.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. And especially elderly people, they have their paranormal stories that perhaps later in life, as younger, they wouldn't want to give them out, but later they don't care and they want people to know about it. It's kind of like, the people from, Roswell, Jesse, name escapes me, but Marcel, the actual guy that was there at the wreck passed the information on to his son, but his father never went public until just about the time he died, and then his son kind of carried on. So sometimes older people withhold the stories till later, and so it's good that we seek to interact with them. And speaking of names and say demonically charged names, here in Indianapolis, they say, well, it's just a regular old name, but if you look at it, it's spelled in Diana Polis, which means in the goddess Diana, Polis meaning city. So the city of the goddess Diana, and in the center of Indianapolis is a monument, and at the top of that monument is the goddess Diana. So one could say that the entire state has been dedicated to the demon Diana. And I'm not leaving the state, man. Although we've suffered some huge tornadoes here, and that could have been from the other side trying to wipe us out over here. But it's kind of hard to get away from that. They say the target symbol is demonic, and I mean you can just go through the peacock for NBC. I mean on and on. I mean you can't
go
get
down
away.
the rabbit hole with all that stuff,
or your dollar bill, man. I mean it is loaded with pagan idolatry on that thing. So now if anybody feels they have money that is dedicated to evil Masonic cults, send it over here and I'll cleanse it.
Yeah, I'll take all the money off your hands. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just because, something is, has a, pagan, so pagan does not mean demonic. They're very different.
Mm-hmm. Now, just offhand, I don't know if you plan or not, but are you able to go in that building?
Oh, inside. Yeah. It's just very loud in there right now.
Okay. Do you,
all my stuff is set up in there.
Really? Okay. Well, here we go to a 5-minute break at 9:00, and I didn't know maybe you want to walk in there and then we'll react, or you can just let your arm rest for a little bit. Now, do you have a battery pack attached to your phone?
No, I was fully charged.
Okay. So are we doing okay?
I
mean, are you?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I mean, the video is excellent. So, man, I'll tell you what. Now that's technology working. And again, going back to those that say that there's demons everywhere, there's a biblical scripture that says that the demons are prince of the power of the air. So some would say, well, transmitting over the air, then you're, So I mean, there needs to be some reserve there when instantly saying something is a demon or instantly saying something is occultic, and I mean, you spend your whole life trying to hide. And warn people. I get people like stalkers, man. They just say, Daniel, don't, there's Zionists everywhere. You got to watch them. They're over here, or they're Jesuits. The Jesuits are after you. They're, this guy is and that guy is. I'm thinking, man, lighten up a little bit.
I think it's a lack of understanding. I mean, even when this school was built, and it doesn't have to do with spirituality or religion, but it's early 1920s, and there were actual people that were against the building of the school because they were citing the advanced technology of the time, where they had plumbing, they had lights, and so they didn't want it built because it expressed the vanity of the people that were building the school.
Yeah,
but today we would never think that.
Right, and in fact, I remember when electricity first came on the scene, they said that was the devil.
Yeah.
And also then I remember that the stagecoaches used to say that if you got onto a train, you are risking your life because that thing will actually go 15 miles an hour and will break your neck.
Right.
So everybody, if you look at it, everyone has an angle. And they're angling, and people are trying to get you to go to their angle. And I'd say, well, instead of trying to force somebody into your angle, and some entire religions are built that way. We have the truth and you don't, political institutions do the same. Our political party is the best and that one isn't. And this country, so people are always angling us. I think the best thing to do is see if there's some truth that they may have, and use it to improve your life, and then maybe use it to improve the life of others, and move on. Look for just the gold nuggets, or the little pieces that can help you, a little light to put on your path, and then you put that light on somebody else's path.
Yeah, absolutely. You look for those pieces of positivity, and just because it's new doesn't mean it's necessarily dangerous. I mean, sure, do some research on it, find out if it's safe or what have you, but just because it's new doesn't mean it's evil.
Okay. Well, we're getting right at the top of the hour, Mike. Right now, go ahead and talk about your website, and then we do take a 5-minute break so you can rest your arm there a little bit, and then you'll be out of the picture for 5 minutes till about 9:05. But tell them about your website, books, anything you would like to Go ahead.
Yeah, website is MikeRicksecker.com. Also, HauntedRoadMedia.com. You can find all my books out there. You can find also the books of the authors that I publish through my publishing company at HauntedRoadMedia.com. And then there's the YouTube channel Haunted Road Media, which has over 200 videos related to the paranormal.
Awesome. Okay, so in the second hour coming up, we're going to take a walk into school?
Yeah, we'll go in, and hopefully we'll keep a good signal.
Okay, and if you got to explain to people what you're doing, you feel free.
Yeah,
but be sure to mention you're on the Edge broadcast with Daniel Ott, man. I want my plug in there.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely do that. Well, I put it on Facebook and shared it out.
Okay, very good.
So quite a few people know I got 5,000 people on my Facebook.
All right, Mike. All right, here, you're going out of the picture now. We'll be right back with you in 5 minutes.
All right.
All right, everybody. Can't hear you. I don't know what happened to the sound here. Not seeing where the sound went. Evidently, we have ghost interference from inside the haunted school building there. Mike, are you still on your phone? Okay, I heard you there. I heard you very quietly in the background there. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sound's coming in now.
Okay, that's strange.
It's a bit choppy, though. Could be the network.
I don't know what happened.
Well, you think we're getting interference from inside the building? Do they have wireless there?
Are you seeing the video?
Yeah, the video is choppy. May have to send you back outside. Hey, well, walk us out there. Okay, all right. See if Mike will walk us outside here. Probably got ghost interference from inside the structure. What it says that it's on Aliens? He says we must have some interference in the structure. Bill Paxton said that. Command Central, man, try to see the aliens. Got blocked there. If the video doesn't come back, then we can certainly go complete audio with Mike here. We'll get our interview going here. But remember, man, when you have a lot of ghost activity, as Mike said in the first hour, it will drain you and interfere with your stuff. Okay, we are walking with Mike. The video is clearing up.
So better?
There it is. That was it. Evidently.
Yeah. Okay. That's too bad because I was starting to get bit up by mosquitoes out here.
Uh-oh. Well.
But that's why I originally came out here, because I knew, well, where I was set up in the gym area, I knew there was some interference there because my signal was in and out. Mm-hmm. But I thought maybe being up on the third floor would have been better by a window, but no, apparently not.
Well, now you are saying that it has to do with just the regular routine structural interference.
That's probably the structure, yeah.
But could it not have been drainage in the signal by something else?
It's a possibility, but I don't think so in this case.
Oh man,
it's just my phone inside has been having that issue pretty much most of the day. I just thought being up on the third floor would be.
Video freeze. Hang on, everybody. I bet it just pops back on. There it goes.
Hello, did I lose you?
Yeah, whoa, man! I'm telling you what, the ghost came out here with you, and that is a good question right there, Mike. When you've done an investigation, has anything ever followed you home?
I don't think so, but my kids would disagree with that. They blamed something that was going on at my house. This was when I used to live out in Oklahoma. The lights in the living room on the fan would keep coming on, and so they thought I'd brought something home with me, but I didn't think so.
So they know what you do.
Oh yeah, yeah. My daughter used to come out with me quite a bit. She doesn't anymore, but she's off at college.
Oh, okay. Now, does she talk about Dad being the paranormal investigator?
From time to time,
Or
it
does she
used to
hide
be
that?
a bigger deal with her friends. Not really so much anymore in college. So it's kind of maybe it's just the type of friends she's hanging out with these days.
Somebody said that they live near D.C. And said that. Have you ever done a story for Fox 5 News?
Yes, I have.
What,
That was back in 2013. I was doing an event in Laurel called Tales from the Dearly Departed. It was at Mount Pelier Mansion. And prior to that, I was on the Fox 5 News morning show. We talked about some of the tales from those homes, and we also talked about one of my favorite tales, which is from a different location there, Mount Airy Mansion, the tale of Ariana Calvert. So yeah, that was a fun experience a couple years ago.
So being a ghost historian, is that the part? The second part of that is that you tell the stories of ghosts.
Yeah, I mean what I do is I try to like with the Calvert. When I was first doing the research for Mount Airy Plantation, I came across a lot of fantastic ghost stories from that house. And along the way on a website, I came across a little one-liner about it was just a girl who was lost. A girl who's depressed and forlorn over the loss of her love. And that was it, but she apparently haunted this place and, was seen there as this depressed girl. So I wanted to find out more about her and just kept digging and digging and digging until finally in this old book from the early 1900s, I found her story and was able to, bring that out and share it. And so I think it's, one of those cases where this girl's life has been lost to time. It was very tragic, what happened to her. And she was forgotten about, which I think is sad. So I was able to, again, give her spirit a voice today.
In the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman, they turned out to be ghosts that didn't know. Somebody had to tell them that they went on to the other side. Have you ever found yourself having to, if you've had interactions, or have you just told the area that is inhabited by ghosts that you're supposed, you're dead, and in case you didn't know it?
Well, I think coming straight forward like that and saying, "Hey, you're dead," right? Is I think very offensive. I don't do that in investigations. Unprofessional to do that. I wouldn't go in. If they were alive, I wouldn't go into somebody's house and say something like that.
Okay.
But I think that the theory, holds some water. There's this interesting perspective that maybe, those ghosts actually see us as ghosts. Maybe our plane of existence is crisscrossing with theirs, and it's not that actually they're ghosts, but that they are real in another form, in human form, and another point in time, and that maybe our time frames are, interwoven together, and at some point, for some reason that we don't really know, we're able to see a glimpse of that plane of existence. Because I've heard stories before where, people have seen apparitions of ghosts, and those apparitions react to them as if they are the ghost. So that theory may hold some water there.
Now, inside that building, the Farrar Schoolhouse, do you have tripwires set up, cameras, voice phenomena recorders?
Yeah, I don't have it set up yet, and there's quite a few investigators here, and we're going to have a lot of equipment going. There's going to be cameras. There's going to be some audio equipment going. There's all kinds of different meters and detectors, like electromagnetic field detectors and things of that nature. Laser grids that people will set up. So yeah, there's a lot of different equipment that people are going to try here tonight.
Now, are you going to be filming that at all?
Yes, I will have my camera going, and at some point in the next couple of weeks, I'll have a video up on my YouTube channel from the Farrar Schoolhouse.
Well, in the first hour, you said that your preliminary walkthrough there, you had a lot of activity. So I would imagine that you're anticipating some more activity this evening.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't make it happen on demand, and it's kind of interesting with the paranormal. You may walk into a place and at one point in time, have all kinds of activity going on, experience a lot, and then suddenly, maybe an hour later, there's just nothing. So you don't really know. You'd like to anticipate that, given the experiences of this morning. I'd like to think that I'm going to experience a lot tonight, but it could also be one of those nights where nothing's going on whatsoever. And that's another thing as paranormal investigators that makes it very, very difficult, for us to try to prove to the skeptics that, this is all real, because, they want, a lot of people want, scientific, proof. Well, when you try to prove something scientifically, you have a control object and you run a battery of tests, and we attempt to do that as paranormal investigators, but it doesn't always work the same. It's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Right. And really, when you talk about being scientific, scientists always say, well, whatever's true can be replicated. Well, the Big Bang, as far as I can tell, it can't be replicated. And I don't think anybody's created life, so that can't be replicated either. So that therefore means, by that standard, that life does not exist. Here's a question from our live chat. Says, can you give us one of your best campfire ghost stories? I know you wrote a book called Campfire Ghost.
Oh yeah, Campfire Tales Midwest. Yeah, that has a lot of great ghost stories in it. My particular favorite is the afterlife one, the Feeling the Afterlife story, which is the tales in there are fictional, but they're based on real history and legends. That particular tale is told from the perspective of a ghost, and it's at the Fort Chaffee Field Medical Complex, which unfortunately burned down a couple of years ago. And what happens to this particular individual, and the perspective that is told, is he's on maneuvers there. He's in the Army. It's an active post, and he meets with an unfortunate fate, and he's brought to the hospital, and it actually goes through the feelings and emotions of what happens to him when he dies, and then when he becomes a ghost and he's wandering around. You go through the feelings and emotions of his experiences, his interactions with the personnel that are there, his interactions later on when people come in to investigate as paranormal investigators, and how he feels about those sorts of things. And then when the field medical complex actually burns down, what does he feel after that? Because now he's out of a home. He's been living here as a spirit for decades at this point. Mm-hmm. And so it delves into those types of emotions from a ghost's point of view.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, Mike is getting a little bit darker in the picture there because
Let me try turning around. You probably get me a little bit better, but you're just going to get like a field behind me.
Okay, I see that. Man, how many people are there? I see all kinds of people in that parking lot.
Yeah, quite a few people here tonight. So hopefully that's a little better.
So I was at a graveyard doing an investigation, and there were multiple paranormal investigative teams there. But something threw rocks at us. What do you think would cause that?
Well, I mean, that could be somebody that's not happy that you're poking around there, near their body. Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting with cemeteries because, you hear people say, well, spirits aren't going to hang around their bodies. But I have found, that not to be true, that there's actually, quite a bit of activity at cemeteries. Mm-hmm. I was just at one last weekend near Ashmore, and my girlfriend Shauna and I, we team up together. We do a lot of this. Mm-hmm. And it was an interesting cemetery. There were 4 trees that were encircled around, a set of headstones. And there was another tree, if you look through just beyond, it was half dead. But, it was a really interesting setup. So I lined up to take some photographs of this setup. And I thought I saw Shauna walking over by the tree that was half dead. And so I was either waiting for her to, stop moving so I could take the picture, or for her to move out of the frame. Mm-hmm. But then I saw her out of the corner of my eye off to the right. So you can actually find some interesting activity at cemeteries.
Okay. All right. We have this question here. It says, have you ever heard of a ghost in the White House?
I have not visited the White House, so I don't know.
Now, it is probably more than likely they would not invite you to investigate.
Probably
not. Well, yeah, Mike, do you have
I did work in D.C. for a while, and lived around that area for a long time. But no, I've not investigated the White House. So they probably wouldn't let me.
Now, is there something in your past that would preclude you from being invited there?
From being invited to the White House? No.
But you know what though? I should be invited because in my family tree, my mother is connected through Ancestry.com. We went through the tree thing, and it came to Obama's mother.
Oh wow,
So
that's interesting.
So I am waiting for an invite, but I don't think I'm going to get one. I'm a member of the
Yeah,
alt-right.
I've done a lot of family research, and we date our family back all the way to 1500s in Switzerland. But it would be my grandfather's mother's side, which is the Grant family. Apparently, she was second cousins to Ulysses S. Grant. So there's some connections there.
There got to be some ghost activities in there. Okay, now let's ask. So, what time do you plan on doing this investigation tonight at this school?
Pretty soon here. It's starting to get dark.
Right. Okay. Now, does it have to be dark in order for there to be perceived activity?
No. Paranormal activity can happen at any time. When it's dark out, you for one, you lose some of the shadow play that the sun can cast. You also lose a lot of the noise pollution that's especially if you're in a city area or someplace that's not so rural. You lose like a lot of the traffic going by, things like that. Mm-hmm. There's also some interesting activity that can happen at night where, and it's an interesting thing that we're trying to discover the reason why. But there's some times where you see a shadow figure, and you turn on the light and it goes away, it dissipates, but it can only be seen while it's dark. Yeah. So there's different entities like that. Although you hear a lot of tales that happen during the day, especially from people that work at historical locations. Mm-hmm. They work during the day, not at night, and they're talking about seeing the apparition of somebody historic walking in an area.
Okay. And by the way, you're turning into a shadow person.
Hope I am. We're really losing the light here.
Hey, let me ask you though, what's underneath the bed or in the closet?
Probably dust bunnies.
Come on, man. There's something else going on in those two places. You know that. Hey, so has there been in this building? Has there been any deaths or murders?
Not that we know of. We don't know about any deaths or murders, at least not that I've found in my research. But there are people who lived here that would be very attached to the building, like upstairs where I was trying to broadcast from. The principal's office people have said that they believe the old principal is up there, and he was a disciplinarian. So just kind of the interactions they've gotten up there kind of tend to be things that may be related to him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, do you want to walk toward the building? By the way, what makes this a haunted school building?
It's an interesting question. It may be something that has manifested over the years, because from the people that I've talked to that have investigated here for a while, 8 years ago, there wasn't a lot of activity here, but over the years, it's kind of, that looks a little better. It's kind of increased. So it may be something related to, people doing more and more investigations here, trying to the afterlife and the other side, that it may have invited some things in.
So within a specter feel like it's a safe place for them? Yeah,
I mean, you don't hear of too many dangerous tales from here. I mean, there was one that was on one of the television shows, but that seems to be like really one of the only more frightening, dangerous tales from here. Usually, the principal, they do see a shadow person seen here from time to time up on the third floor. Children, could seem to kind of be, for the most part, what's experienced here.
Mm-hmm. So in your investigations, then, what makes what you're saying is it doesn't always have to have a traumatic history, because I seem to get that a lot on this program. Like something traumatic happened.
It doesn't have to be traumatic.
Okay.
It could just be an attachment that they really had to. Maybe it's their home, and they just once they've passed on, they want to come back. I had a friend of mine who, after her father passed away, he was really into, he was a ham radio operator, loved to play around with his radio at night. And so after he passed on, my friend and her sister kept, they were in the house, trying to clean it out, get things prepared and to sell, but they had all the radio equipment in the basement, and they'd come in and the radio would turn on, while they were trying to clean things out. So it seemed to be that, he was still around. He didn't die traumatically. He just, he died, and he seemingly was back there playing around with the radio.
So the people that own the house, they know. I mean, how many teams are there tonight? Did they invite all of them? It's like a ghost open house.
I mean, there's probably I'd say there's probably about 10 teams here tonight.
Wow. Well, now, are you going to be running?
Well, there's a convention going on. So.
Okay. In the building.
Yeah. Everybody, well, there's people milling about out here, but in the building as well.
Okay. A quick question from Georgia. It says, have you ever encountered a ghost of a living person?
That there is the interesting phenomenon of what we refer to as a poltergeist activity, where sometimes somebody's energy, usually in a negative way, is so powerful that they are creating their own paranormal activity. And usually, and I don't want to, stereotype anybody, but it's most commonly found with teenage girls, like the age from 12 to, about 16, 17 years old, where, there'll be something paranormal going on in the home, and it's teen angst that is really, exponentially, blown up in a paranormal way.
Well, Mike, why don't we just walk us into the building? If you get some light, fine. And if you don't, then, because you're a specter right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty much gone in this, right?
Yeah, but it's all right with me though, because it's pretty interesting to look at. And besides that, man, now, so it shows you that one can have an interaction with a shadow person and be all right.
Yeah, there you go. Because I'm a shadow person right now, right?
Now you're in the light now.
All right, we're getting closer. Okay, there's light right there. We can still see you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, cracking up, but we can see it. Bright light right now. So, are they going to turn the lights out when it's time for the investigation, or are they going to leave lights on?
Yeah, let me try to go to here. Yeah, lights here don't work.
So as you watching, we have Mike Ricksecker in the building right now. Of course, blocking some of the signal there. Ghost interference. Oh, yeah. Mike is trying to get to a place where he's getting good power.
A very unconventional interview, sorry. Okay, how's that?
Okay. Well, we got light and we still have video, but chopping. Hey, we're still connected.
Okay, that's good.
But I'm still saying that the ghosts are probably trying to take power out of this broadcast.
Well, it could be. You never know.
All right, now, so what's behind you? What room are we in? Are we in a classroom?
We were in a classroom. Yeah, this was the last name of the door was Hawkins. So I don't know much about that teacher.
And I don't know if you heard me, Mike, but are they going to turn the lights out sometime at some point? Is that?
Yeah, when we go to investigate, the lights will be turned on. They're still doing some lectures in the next room.
Okay. And now, is each investigative team are they go? Is there any interaction, or are there going to be specific areas that each team goes to?
I haven't organized all that, so I'm not sure the way it's going to play out. I was kind of invited last minute, a special guest, so I don't know what the entire plan is here tonight. But I was invited to come out, set up my stuff, and we'll see how all that plays out. But usually the way it's done is, you might split up into a couple of large teams. There's 3 floors to this, so it may be each group.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, we're breaking up again, so why don't we go ahead and sign off with you so you can get busy chasing down these ghosts and documenting the paranormal activity you expect to find. Let's talk about what can people expect to find on your website.
Yeah, MikeRicksecker.com and HauntedRoadMedia.com. You can find all of my books out there. I have a blog on MikeRicksecker.com. You can also find out there. You can find all the videos on YouTube.com/HauntedRoadMedia. So there's a lot of great information about ghosts and the paranormal out there.
Okay, well, we're going to sign off and let you go. Mike, would you mind when you get done, send me a quick brief on what happens? So I'll share it with the listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you something tonight about what happens here. Definitely.
Okay. Excellent. Appreciate it. Well, Mike, I'll let you go. Thank you for coming on the Edge Television broadcast. Can we have you on again sometime?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry for how unconventional this was.
It was awesome, man. It was good. It was a good show. I appreciate you coming on.
I hear I would be able to broadcast one place where we could have a little bit more light and we'd have the interference from the building.
Yeah,
but,
cool. All right.
We're okay for a while.
Very good. All right, we're signing off. Good evening. Bye-bye.